Giuliani, and this is America's Mayor live from Dover, New Hampshire. And live at a very, I think we all realize that we're going through a very, very sensitive and difficult time in American history. The murder that we witnessed as a nation last week is not just another murder. I'm not saying that Charlie Kirk's life is worth more than, oh my goodness, all those young children that are killed every week in Chicago, even though of his contributions and whatever. I'm just saying that we're not in control completely of how the things that happen in our world are affected, what they mean, how they develop. They don't develop necessarily proportionately. They don't develop based on any DEI formula. They don't develop on any conservative formula. Sometimes their development is predictable, and sometimes it's not. I have the distinct feeling, and I don't give into this feeling too often, that this is a turning point moment to, I guess, pick up on their description. Someone, I think, used the word hinge moment in order to avoid turning point. But I think we're making a mistake by avoiding turning point, because I don't know what hinge means. I know what turning point means. It means you're turning in a different direction. Here's the difficulty. I'm not sure which direction we're going to turn in, and neither are you. Everything about me, from the time I was a child, which I've been probably gone through lots of different developments and lots of good times and bad times and lots of really productive times and probably some pretty destructive times. Who knows? But I've always been essentially an optimist. And I always just deep down inside believe things are going to turn out right. Am I correct? Is that true? Is there any certainty in the world that we live in that things are going to turn out right? And even if you are a religious person and a spiritual person, and you believe that in the long run, things are going to turn out right by the grace of God, that doesn't mean they're going to turn out right now. Because God leaves us on our own. I think the thing that you have to understand, if you are a person of faith, which does leave you in one step beyond the absolutely rational world, right? The leap of faith, is that you can't predict the outcome of any group of even significant human events. You can predict the eventual outcome. It can be a last judgment. And God is going to bring this all together. But not now. Presumably not soon. So how this works out has nothing to do with the ultimate last judgment and faith in a God that will bring us through everything. So we have to analyze this based on the talents we have and the tools that we have of our own understanding, which are short of the understanding of everything that's going on in the universe around us. And if you think you understand everything going on around the universe that surrounds us, then go be a communist, because then you're Karl Marx, and then you're Satan. And then you think you know more than God, which is the core of their evil, and it's the core of why they are destroying us, but that's a different subject. So the question is, how are we going to come out of this traumatic, with a capital letter, event? Are we going to come out of this bitter? Are we going to come out of this, like the way that Emmy Award winning, I don't even know. I mean, I didn't even know who she was. I understand she's the daughter of somebody who was on Saturday Night Live, who probably is only where she is because she's the daughter of somebody on Saturday Night Live. And she got an Emmy Award for some performance that I never heard of, nor do I want to hear of, nor do I want to repeat. And she goes ahead and she makes statements in favor of one of the most brutal, vicious, animalistic terrorist groups in the world, that not only, I believe she's Jewish, that not only hate her own people as a Jew, but hate her own people as an American, if she's an American. And she goes ahead and she uses an Emmy Award for her completely useless performance and a completely useless, I don't know what, because she really thinks everybody knows about this. She's just an absolutely silly product of some former Saturday Night Live star who I don't remember. Now, here's the irony of this. Nor would her limited intellect allow her to analyze this. When they replayed this on Hamas television or Muslim television, they showed her pro-Palestinian pin, but then they covered up her. You notice her arms are showing. I don't know why they had to cover up. She has no breasts, but they covered all that up. That's the traitor to her Jewish background right there. There she is, stupid woman. Look at those other stupid women. Look at those other stupid idiots laughing. And, yeah, I'd like to hear. I'll
pay the difference. Sorry. Finally, I just want to say, finally, go Birds, and free Palestine. Thank you. Birds, and free Palestine. Thank you.
So they actually edit the part where she says F ICE.
Thank you.
What does she say?
And free Palestine.
Oh, get her off,
Thank
get her
you.
off. We've seen her enough. She looks like a complete Hollywood nitwit. Do you have the picture of her where on her television, which is the Muslim television, done under the auspices of the Prophet Muhammad, they cover her up because, as the press points out, she's basically, to them, a whore. I mean, for being dressed like that, they could kill her.
Right.
She's an immoral woman, easily under Sharia law. We could easily subject her to stoning. You think that half-wit jackass moron has the slightest idea of that?
Right. I don't.
Shall we show her covered up?
Yeah, we're going to show that. This is
now. Here's why I find it really strange that they're covering up. I mean, I'm a Western male of Italian extraction. There was nothing to see. I mean, it's not as if we're looking at Sophia Loren here.
So what?
I mean, we got that could have been a male basketball player, for what I see from up and down. And they're all worried about that. They're going to cover that up. I mean, these guys get a little crazy, Ted.
So, well, what we're going to show is this is, Hamas outlets.
This is what Hamas considers you're not supposed to see. Now, this is a woman without apparently prominent breasts. Look at that. And the other one, I don't know who is that one on the right looking at her breasts.
I recognize her.
Who is she? What does she have? An interest in women's breasts?
But you're right, Mayor.
Do you think they're all perverts?
I
Probably
think
not. That's an overstatement.
Well, a vast majority of them are definitely out of touch with the rest of us.
Well, I mean, they do like limit and reduce the amount of time for pedophilia in Florida.
But wouldn't she, the cognitive dissonance, that's a word we've been hearing a lot of recently.
But
for her,
blurs out her sinful behavior.
oops, sorry. Her sinful dress, I guess.
Well, I don't know. We're going to do some research on this and find out if she goes to Palestine, would she be subjected to stoning? And would the woman next to her be considered lascivious?
Yeah.
I mean, her eyes are clearly, now they could be looking down because there was no indication of breasts. So she could be looking down saying, what are they all upset about? I mean, there's nothing to cover here.
Right. Right. But it is amazing. I wonder what she
The hell
thinks.
with them. The hell with them.
Does she not get it?
Aren't we finished with them? They're getting people killed. Hamas? I'm not even going to go into it. I'm not even going to talk about it. If you don't understand what is absolutely catastrophic and dangerous about Hamas, go watch some other show. I haven't done my job. I don't get how I do think that increasingly or decreasingly, they are setting the tone for what people think. Because I now think we may have passed a point where when they do this, they win more people for us than for them. Do you understand what I'm saying? There'd be a point at which when one of these celebrities, what's her name? Enheimer, Hannah Uber-Duper. Hannah Uber-Duper without large breasts or any apparent breasts that had to be covered because the Muhammad followers are sick perverts and hate women. So they don't want to show the beauty of women because they hate women, and that makes it easier for them to stone them and use them as objects of perversion. Like when they come into Qatar or particularly Doha, the men take off all those silly white things and they go out with every prostitute you could find. And then they probably bring back sexually transmitted diseases to the three wives that are sitting back home. But if you think they're not much more wild, crazy, and out of control than the normal Westerner, you're out of your mind. I have observed it. In any event, these attacks on Charlie have got to stop. We have got to, you know why they have to stop? They have to stop because we have to use this as a teaching moment. We have to use this to show the American people what they have allowed to happen while they weren't watching. Because this happened, this sacrifice of this wonderful man happened because the American people stopped looking at how degraded our society had become. And there are many people who have written very valuable analysis of this, and many people have written absolutely silly gobbledygook about it. But it is producing an opportunity to re-examine where we are and where we are going. One observation goes to the Gen Z group, which is the group, of course, that Charlie was most concerned about, because until he came along, pretty much all of the influences they would get was not only to be left, but to be communist, Marxist, and anti-American, to hate their parents, to hate God, and to break themselves from anything about our traditions or background. And Charlie has helped win a lot of them back. Now, it is true, if you just study them carefully, they self-identified liberals. 68% respond. Do you feel comfortable sharing your political ideology and your political beliefs with your closest friends? Liberals, young liberals in the Gen Z 20s era, 68% of them are comfortable sharing their ideology because they're accepted. But catch this, only 38% who are conservative are comfortable sharing their ideology. So there is as Charlie understood and spoke about a lot, a large number of young people in that Gen Z vast group that have contrary opinions, but because of peer pressure are afraid to express it. When somebody like Charlie Kirk shows up on a campus, they feel affirmed. They feel supported. It's hard to be alone. Much easier to work in numbers. And it's made a massive transition to the extent that Trump may have won a slight percentage of that vote. A massive transition because in the campuses where he's been able to be effective, he's made remarkable changes. And the number of campuses now applying would quadruple their outreach. So yes, part of the reaction to Charlie Kirk's death have been some of the most mean-spirited, some of the most disgusting, and some of the most depressing reactions to death by people where you question, are they human? But part of the reaction, and we don't yet know what's going to win out, are 10 times more applications to Turning Point, 15 times more campuses, high school and college, wanting to join. In terms of high schools, numbers that would get you to not 100%, but to almost complete saturation. Now, this is a week, and we can't, but there's a good part to this, and there's a bad part to this. So we got to watch how is it going, right? Right. One of the recommendations from a letter to the editor that I saw today, I agree with completely, because I do think, there are so many battles, but there are two big ones in terms of the minds of people. So how do people develop their education, right? Well, they develop it at home if they go to a church, right? They develop it in school, and we develop it on the experiences that we get, the television, the books we read, what we're exposed to. So this is a very depressing situation for those of us who feel we're being led to the slaughter of communism, because our schools, public, and the major academic institutions, public or private, are overwhelmed by Democrats, 95, 85%, and overwhelmed by Marxists, people who hate America. So we kind of lose on the education front. You know where we are on the media front, about 80, 90%, although we're fighting a battle there and with the likes of Charlie, but then so many others that can carry on, even, more enthusiastically now. We've balanced things quite a bit. Whereas 5-6 years ago, we were the slave of the broadcast media and the cable media. We're now becoming much more, almost to the point of a slight majority that gets their news from the online sources. And we dominate the online sources because we're the rejected ones who have the energy to use it. And we're the rejected ones who want to go there because we realize we draw the people who have the intellectual capacity to come to the realization something's wrong. I'm not getting everything. Well, they're gonna go try something different. They're gonna go try a Bannon, right? They're gonna go try a Bongino when he was there, or a Charlie, or me. And we're getting, as a group, we're getting to the majority. So we're showing some progress on the media education part. But now, what about the education part? Well, we got to deal on the K to 12 level. We got to deal with the Communist Teachers Union. We're making progress with them, but it's slow. And in the blue states, they are a complete monopoly, and they are completely heartless. They don't give a damn how much they ruin the education of children, particularly black children. They feel they have the black poor completely under their control, so that they can treat them the same way their party used to treat them when their party supported slavery. But we do have charter schools now, growing. Some places cut off, like in New York. We do have home education growing leaps and bounds. We have choice programs in many, many places. But we still have to get to upper education where they control it completely. I mean, if you were to start saying, why don't we show some of Charlie's dialogues with the students? Gosh, they're somewhat reminiscent of Socrates going around Athens. The philosophy professors at the Ivy League schools would laugh at me, and I would punch them in the nose because I'm smarter than they are. Because they do. And their prejudice and their brainwashing and their laziness and their silly egos, if you ever met them, I'm telling you the truth, would prevent them from seeing that. That unlike them, Charlie was a lot closer to Socrates than they are. When the hell was the last time they went out into the streets of Athens and conducted a discussion? They sit in there, they don't even teach anymore. They just write books and make money and hire assistants to teach. I mean, there was one point, I remember doing this when I was in business, but most of the Ivy League schools teach with adjuncts. The professors write books. You get to pay, $1 million a year for education by some 22-year-old adjunct.
Isn't what those teachers
It's a complete, absolute effing ripoff. The Ivy League schools are the equivalent of the robber barons of the turn of the 19th into the 20th century. All they did is steal your money. They weren't educating your kids. The last 20 to 30 years, I mean, if that's an education, no wonder the kids are so stupid. So a very, very, very astute professor at the University of Massachusetts Amherst wrote a letter to the Wall Street Journal today in which he says, I agree with much of Ben Sass's provocative op-ed. University trustees have their heads in the sand, but university boards can't assemble a politically diverse faculty unless more conservatives enter academia. As an Ivy League humanities PhD himself, Mr. Sass must know that the humanities aren't the fat we need to trim. We don't have any study of the humanities. Well, when you're on your way to communism, you write out humanities because humanities is a product of the Judeo-Christian tradition. It's a product of Western civilization. Humanities don't exist for communists. But it is true. Somehow, some way, we need to produce those who are interested in entering academia who have conservative viewpoints. It's hard because you're going in as the sacrificial lamb to start with. Nobody's going to like you. Nobody's going to talk to you. I mean, you could concentrate on the Hillsdale colleges and places like that. But I think what Ben is talking about is we got an awful lot of really bright people, a lot brighter than them. That's why we win elections and the country is going in our direction, because they really are. Not only are they brainwashed communists. Being brainwashed renders you ultimately stupid. But we have to figure out how can we get people more interested. I mean, how long can we exist with only 10 colleges or 12? So that's a thing for the future, and also a really deliberate attempt to see if we can continue what Charlie was doing, maybe not with anyone as quite as talented as he is, but maybe with a whole group of people that are almost as talented. A lot of campuses are asking now. It would be good to satisfy their request. So Ted, I think that one of the people that was involved in getting attacked because of Charlie, Lexi Kunzel, who was a nurse in New Jersey, was fired because she complained about Dr. Matthew Young, who basically said, "I hate Charlie Kirk. He had it coming. He deserved it." This guy is a surgeon at a hospital in Bergen County. That's where my son went to high school. So Lexi complained about him. What would you do if you were on the board of a hospital and somebody said, "I hate Charlie Kirk. He had it coming. He deserved it"? What would you do? Would you do what I would do? No, I wouldn't beat him up in the backyard. I used to do that, but I was growing up in Brooklyn then. I'd fire him. They fired her. Oh, not for long.
Put her on suspension.
We all got involved. We all protested, and we got her back, right?
She has been reinstated. But if I'm this nurse, how long do I want to stay at a place like that?
Well, I don't know. Maybe she should stay there to make sure it changes.
Because that is unacceptable. The Dr. Matthew Young of Inglewood quit
Good.
following the incident.
Is he an American?
That we don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we have an awful lot of non-American doctors. Well, in any event, maybe he could go somewhere and be a missionary for a while.
Right.
And repent his sins.
It's not that, but right. I don't know if this is much about us wanting, taking joy in people losing their jobs as much as it is a point needs to be made. Like
It has
we have a
nothing
duty.
to do with people losing their jobs. Here's what I see.
We don't do this with joy. It's actually disgusting.
I've always thought the most difficult thing for us is to fix education. I can see us fixing the media. We're on our way to doing it. I can see us even fixing some of the deep state. We've had, in the case of the Trump people that are really aggressive, we've had some really great success. In the cases of some that aren't, we're falling behind a little. But in any event, the process is obvious how to do it. I think education is so vast, so big, kindergarten to 8th grade, high school, college, graduate education, the academic institutions and ones that set the tone. How do you get to all of them? And the percentages are like 80 and 90%. So there, Charlie was making inroads, and I thought that was almost the most impossible place to make inroads. But now there is an opening, and we should do the best we can to take advantage of it. We need to get into the academic institutions so that our children get a fair, balanced education. It is fair and balanced education if you come out of it saying, America is the most exceptional country in the history of the world. When Barack Obama said we should do away with American exceptionalism, we should have asked Barack Obama to retire. We should have done away with him. I don't mean kill him. Stop it. I mean
Resign.
tell him to resign. He shouldn't be president of America if you don't love it. He never loved America. I said it once. Everybody went crazy on me. Now everybody agrees with me. He doesn't love America. We cannot tolerate a president who doesn't love us. Nuh-uh. Did he hate America? You're damn right he did. Why did he take down the bust of Churchill? Because Churchill was a colonist. Well, so was America, which is what he thought. That's where 1619, the great fictional history, came from. He may very well have started this, Ted.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was trained as a communist.
Absurd.
We've already covered Hannah Einbender.
We did, but I think another point about the Emmys. Look, we don't watch. We didn't even know they were happening. I still don't know that
Was
they
they on
really
television?
happened. I don't even know. I just saw the video.
She was on Cuds News Network. Do you know there was a Cuds News Network? Cuds is the group that killed Americans. They're a
This is another point about the Emmys. And it shows that we didn't miss a damn thing. And so this is someone else reporting because we wouldn't have known. But how is that? How do you not mention it? How do you go an entire award show?
Well, they
talk
didn't
about
mention it
everything.
because well, I guess it was better for them not to mention it because they would have made fun of it.
Isn't that absurd? So they probably, you're right. They probably warn their actors not to
Don't
bring it up.
mention it because
We know you're
all
gonna
we
say
would
something
say is he
stupid.
deserves to die.
How?
We know they believe that way. Now, how does Ilhan Omar, who came into America married to her brother, doesn't that get you thrown out? Isn't your citizenship fraudulent? Therefore, you can't be in Congress if you lied, said you were married to your brother in order to become a citizen. We don't apply those rules to a traitor communist congresswoman. Well, Nancy Mace is on her tail, and she wants her stripped of her committee assignments and whatever else can be done, I guess, for attacking Charlie Kirk. Ilhan Omar has shown us exactly who she is, someone who defends political violence and refuses to condemn the loss of innocent lives when it doesn't suit her agenda, even the cold-blooded assassination of Charlie Kirk. Her statement was, these people are full of shit, and it's important for us to call them out while we feel anger and sadness. There is nothing more effed up than to pretend that his words and actions haven't been recorded in existence for the last decade or so. And he was involved with hateful rhetoric.
Here's just a taste of her vile comments.
Is that, Charlie was someone who once said, guns save lives after a school shooting. Charlie was someone who was willing to debate and downplay the death of George Floyd in the hands of Minneapolis police.
I think he called him a scumbag.
Right, have no regard, downplay slavery and what Black people have gone through in this country by saying.
What does that even mean? I just
There's
wanted
nothing true about what that lying,
We probably shouldn't play anymore. It's
illegal alien is saying.
Brother marrier.
There's nothing. Maybe only a brother would marry her. He never. Charlie Kirk, in his entire life, never downplayed slavery. What she does is she downplays Islamic slavery, since it was considerably more significant than transatlantic slavery. I've never heard her talk about the horrors of Muslim slavery, which existed 3 times longer and about 5 times more in terms of numbers than transatlantic slavery. If she wants to get even with and straighten out the debt owed by Western civilization to Blacks, that debt is about 10 times greater from the religion that she practices, which is called the religion of, well, to some, the religion of violence. It depends on how much of the Quran you're willing to read. You want to read all of it, it's the religion of violence. And it's the religion that tolerated, encouraged, and continued to encourage into the last century black slavery. And blacks were by far, although the Islams took slaves from everyone, their biggest target were black Africans. And now, of course, they're killing black Africans who don't share their religion, otherwise known as Christian or non-Muslim black Africans, because in Africa, they're doing what Muhammad taught them to do. They're spreading their religion as effectively as they can by killing people. The major weapon for the spread of the religion of Islam is to kill, because preaching doesn't work. Nobody believes that Muhammad was taken up into heaven by Gabriel the angel. I'm sorry. Sorry to get you all upset. But when he came back from his journey to paradise and hell and wherever, and he started explaining it to his brethren in Medina, they said he was a crazy F. And when they saw him get down on the ground and have like epileptic fits, they thought he was possessed by the devil. And then he was sure he could get the Christians and the Jews. And when he did the same thing with them, they just threw him out. So then he went among the illiterate people who were wandering the desert, and he started converting one after the other. And they seemed to, because of all sorts of reasons, including deprivation and anger and unfair treatment and everything, they wanted to do war. So he became a general. And ultimately, that's what he was. He was a warrior. Not just a warrior, he was a ruthless, murdering general who spread his religion by military conquest. The whole Islamic Republic of Iran is acquired by a military conquest by the direct descendants of Muhammad over the Zoroastrians. They just killed them, eliminated the religion. One of the first examples of genocide. That's what the religion is based on. And that's what one wonders how ignorant and how stupid and how much hiding of history had to take place when they created the Black Muslim movement. The last thing blacks should have become are Muslims. The religion that has done more damage to blacks than any religion, combine them all, the ones that have killed more blacks, taken them in slavery more often, considers them basically something less than human, is the Muslim religion. Charlie Kirk, very beautifully in his taking over for his show for Charlie, said that Charlie was responsible for his vice presidency. Isn't that right?
Yeah, you said Charlie.
Yeah, and yes, Charlie was one of the people that pushed the president, or I would say advised the president very strongly that he would be a very good vice president. And since JD did not have the track record that some of the others had, those endorsements were of particular importance. And the president, as you know, for some time has a very high regard for Charlie Kirk, and I am sure that that's certainly a justifiable statement. But I do think it's time for me to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to have Dr. Maria with us. And we're going to talk about a very, very difficult, we're going to talk about a very difficult moral proposition, because maybe, just maybe, by talking about it, it'll open our minds a bit. Okay? We'll be right back. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnels to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax, channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. This is Rudy Giuliani. We're back, and it's America's Mayor Live, and we have with us Dr. Maria. This murder, assassination, has evoked tremendous difference of reaction from the people that we focused on somewhat, the ones who seem to be celebrating the death of a human being. So to me, I sat there today spending an hour just contemplating how much have we moved in 2,000 or 3,000 years when on a Sunday afternoon, the high and low of Rome would go out, and instead of watching a football game, they'd watch a gladiators contest and cheer for death. And the gorier the death, the more they cheer. And what we witnessed over this weekend were people cheering for the gory death of a father of 2 children who's committed no crime, who's led an exemplary life, and about whom the only thing they can object is his political view. I mean, nothing Charlie's ever done to hurt anybody, except the only reason you'd kill him is for his political view. He's not a member of organized crime. He didn't sell drugs. He didn't beat anybody up. He didn't take anybody's money. He didn't harm anybody. He didn't attack anybody. He offered political views. And from what I can tell, they're pretty much mainstream, let's talk.
Well, interestingly enough,
Are we like the Romans of 2,000 years ago? We have substantial numbers of people that celebrate the death of people they don't like.
we're not quite to that level, but you and I had a 4-year radio. For 4 years, we did radio together, and it was mainly under, I think, if not all, under the Biden administration. So we often talked about the evil aspect of a certain population of our country and how that was shifting, right? If you look back into the 1950s, It was all about being a good citizen, working hard. You could become a homeowner. You're going to be, have a family someday. But it was very law and order and nicety. And you definitely saw our trajectory to from the Western civilization that, I'm going to use this phrase, we were more and more enlightened, right? I think our humanity trajectory was supposed to be, we're supposed to get better and better, right? Through life. We're supposed to be more contemplative, blah, blah, blah. And then comes the Biden administration. And it started under the Obama administration, but we saw society moving away from those ideals in massive numbers. Instead of the little trickle here, people on the fringes, it became a movement which shocked a lot of us because it was evil and like the devil. It was so egregious. And that's why sometimes people on the right say, this isn't about different political ideals. This is literally good versus evil. And I've often said, instead of that trajectory of being more and more enlightened in, being smarter as society and humanity, I think we've regressed and we've stopped that. We halted that and went backwards. Is it because we rejected God? We went to great lengths to say, okay, we can't have prayer in school. Okay, I could kind of see that separation of church and state, but we actually try to, through the propaganda of the media and the left wing, let's face it, the Democrat Party became to vilify anybody. Look at how they act when we say we're going to send prayers. Oh God, they're going to send prayers. Oh, we've had enough of this thoughts and prayers. Like they try to villainize the fact that we believe in God and we believe in the power of prayer. But this Charlie Kirk thing, I don't mean to be so long-winded.
You're not. You're right on point.
Charlie Kirk has united people, and not that we weren't united before. We were all kind of doing our own thing. We like to be individual, but through his brutal assassination, people are saying no more. No more. We got to call a spade a spade. We're not going to be. We're not going to be in the background anymore, just doing our thing, and being righteous. We're going to get together, and we're going to say no more in our country.
Yeah, you're not going to get to kill another Charlie Kirk.
That's right, or anybody. Charlie Kirk.
No, you're not going to get.
It's any political figure.
I agree.
Or human being, for that fact. I don't want people to take my words that a regular person doesn't mean anything. No, every life matters. Every life matters.
Well, I think we have to make somewhat of a distinction. We have so much murder in our society, and we have so much Democrat support of murder. Like in Chicago, they literally support murder. They 65 years of Democratic rule. Every weekend, bare minimum 6, 20 people get killed. Bare minimum 20, 100 people get wounded. They don't do a damn thing about it, and they've had black mayors, and they don't care that it's mostly black people. So I don't know what you're going to do for them. The president wants to give them the National Guard. They don't want the National Guard. They'd rather have the black people get killed. So I don't know who they are. I don't know what they are. I see that fat little rich boy running it, who's like a complete jackass. I mean, he's a guy that I would love to have met him when we were both in grammar school. I could kick the shit out of him and made him cry. But I mean, he's obviously not a man. He's some poor excuse for a rich boy. They fed him, and I don't know what else.
He doesn't care about the south side of Chicago.
I don't know. He just watches black people die left and right and left and right, and comes up with these platitudes. They don't even sound like he can think about them. He obviously was too stupid to run the family business. But you know how many people they were all like that we're stuck with on the left, too stupid to run the family business?
This is my hope, Rudy, that the people of Chicago, right? One thing we know about Chicago is massive election cheating.
By the way, the mayor's worse.
Right. I agree. They had Beetlejuice, and then they get this, Johnson, this crazy guy, and he doesn't care about his people.
His own
either.
people.
So this is my hope. We all know Chicago cheats, always have cheated in their election. The people have to smarten up. This is what I didn't understand about New York. When I worked in New York, I met so many good people. I couldn't understand how they could vote for somebody like de Blasio. It's because of apathy. Like 8% of the people come out and vote in New York,
So-
8 to 13%.
So,
So the people of Chicago have to make it too big to rig and get these losers out of office.
But are they? I mean, if I were going to analogize New York to Chicago,
We got
I
to leave
would
it up to the
say
people.
Chicago cheats on elections. New York has a crooked judiciary. It has since Boss Tweed. Rarely has it been different. I can give you an example of it today. It's run by the county leaders of the Democratic Party. They put their people in. They make believe they were elected, like Judge Engelmoron, who
And he
issued
is
a
a
judgment
moron.
against me today. And that's absurd. Should Judge Engelmoron have any opportunity to make any judgment about me, given the unbelievable prejudice beyond anything we've ever seen in American politics toward Donald Trump?
He shouldn't be on the bench.
Should he have any opportunity to do that? And for the law firm, you will find out that has the greatest control over whether or not he should be on the bench. Now, I'm going to tell you, they keep it up, we're going to bust open the unbelievable corruption in New York City that has gone on uninterrupted since Boss Tweed, certainly uninterrupted since the suicide of Donald Maness. Nobody knows more about that suicide than I do. And it's really important that you find out how long Democrats have been this crooked in our major cities and what they're doing to you and how they are delivering New York City to its demise. And you're watching it. You're watching it, I don't know why, and staying home and not voting. And if you get it, I don't know, the words of my predecessor may be correct. You deserve it. That was Ed Koch.
And that's, I love my whole entire country. I love state rights, and it's got to end up with the people of Chicago, just like the people of New York. You've got to get through the cheating. You got to clean up your system, and you've got to get involved. And one of the things that are sparking young people with the brutal assassination of Charlie Kirk, I think they had 900 chapters of Turning Point USA, something like that. I may be wrong, off a little bit. There has been 32,000 requests for new chapters to start. So I think we're going in the right direction. Look at Tennessee. Republican governor, Mr. Lee, he has invited the Trump administration to come in to Memphis. Memphis is a killing ground.
Yeah,
it is violent.
When the hell is a Democrat? And there's no party in the history of the world that has had more to do with the death of black people than the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
Including now.
Slavery, the KKK.
And now.
And
now sitting on New York, sitting on Chicago, watching blacks get killed, not doing anything about it, making them dependent, using them as serfs.
Crippling the police.
Black politicians going in there saying they're going to clean up the city, doing nothing for the inner city and walking out with $12, $15, $20 million when they die.
It's shameful what they've done to the culture, the black culture. Used to be a very family-oriented culture, very matriarchal, but this dependency for votes, it's keeping them on a different type of plantation. It's actually telling them you're too stupid to be out on your own and
100%. Yeah.
be a fruitful citizen. You,
can't get
have
ID.
to be on
You
the
can't
dole.
You can't get ID.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of years ago when they said they can't get ID, they went up to Harlem and everybody in Harlem said, we have ID.
Yeah,
And it turned out that by 1% more blacks have ID than whites.
Yeah. So,
you know why? You can't get welfare without ID.
oh, is that so?
Nobody thought about that.
Oh, how do illegals get
How
it?
do you
What?
like that?
Because they give it to illegals. They have a special rule for illegals.
Oh.
How do illegals get a driver's license without taking a driver's test?
Yeah.
Blacks have to take a driver's test. Whites have to take a driver's test. Pinks have to take a driver's test. In-betweens have to take a driver's test. People with no color have to take a driver's test. Not Biden illegals. They don't have to take driver's tests. They can do like they did in Ohio, in that city, Aurora, Ohio. They can drive up on the sidewalk and kill you.
Yeah.
You don't have to take a driver's test. The governor will just give it to you. He wants you to feel comfortable so you can drive. He forgot about the fact that you're going to kill 10, 12 of his citizens.
Well, he probably wants.
F his citizens. He doesn't care about his citizens.
So you have a big audience. So I'm going to say something very controversial right now.
Good. That's what we like to do.
I want all you good people who believe in law and order, love our country, love the Constitution, to have a lot of babies. The evil people will outbirth us. The radical Islamic people are taking over Europe. They're going to come here. We got to procreate. You know, the
Well, that's a
unfortunate.
nice thing.
Yep. Keep having
Think what a
babies.
nice night you can have procreating.
And bring those children up right to be good citizens, and we're going to be okay. But we got to procreate.
Told you, I'm Italian.
And if
I'm in
I
favor
could,
of-
I'd do it.
I'm in favor of those things. I'm in favor of procreation. I'm in favor of love and
Yes.
romance.
So, Mayor Giuliani,
Yes.
there has been an investigation called Arctic Frost, and hopefully tomorrow you'll have more on your shows about it. But it was a multitude of different government agencies under the Biden administration that were told to target people, conservatives mainly, and people who were close to Trump. And my mayor, your name was on the list.
Yeah, I known that for years.
And
Well, not all the years it happened, but I've known that for some time.
of course, because things didn't make sense. One of the things I didn't know,
They did
because
hor-
we have a company together, and our accountant used to say, we're getting kicked out of another bank. And I'd be like, why?
I
There was
remember
never
you'd come to
any-
me.
Every other week, we were kicked out of another bank.
Yep. Maybe.
Now, thanks to Chuck Grassley, he has subpoenaed a lot of those banks. And guess what? All the ones we were kicked out of, Flagstaff, Citibank, a whole bunch of them are on that list
And we're on
targeting
that
you.
list.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I knew that. I mean, that happened.
Flagstar.
That
I
happened to
said
me.
Flagstaff,
That happened to me
Flagstar.
within days of representing Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And it begins with the taking of my iCloud account with an
Illegally.
FBI affidavit claiming I committed a crime, which I can't get from the FBI, including this FBI.
But Mayor, they
And-
wrote a letter saying that there was no probable
well,
cause.
well, I mean,
Okay,
so
sorry.
they-
Go ahead.
So they did two affidavits to invade my privacy. One was when I first represented Donald Trump, somewhat thereafter, they got an affidavit and they took all of my iCloud account so that anything on here they would get to see. Okay. The one good thing is Donald Trump doesn't communicate by email, not even much by text. So they didn't get shit. But, you know, they had it and they poured over anything personal, anything business. Then they went ahead and got another affidavit, two of them, one to invade my apartment and one to invade my law office. Law office is outrageous, outrageous, completely outrageous, completely unconstitutional.
People's
They should be in jail
privacy.
right now for doing that.
Yep.
They should be in jail right now for doing it. And then a year and a half later, due to the good work of my lawyer, Bob Costello, he intimidated them and required them, and very few people got this, got them to write a letter to the grand jury saying that based on all of that, there was no probable cause to believe that Rudy Giuliani committed any crime, which is true, by the way. I don't commit crimes.
Right.
It's kind of like figure it out. I've been a prosecutor all my life. What am I, stupid? I don't commit crimes. I prosecute them. I know what they are. I don't do them. But in any event, he got a letter. There's no probable cause that he committed a crime. You know how you get an affidavit to invade people's privacy? You have to show there's probable cause they committed a crime. So 4 years before there was probable cause, I committed a crime. A year and a half before there was probable cause, I committed a crime.
Or they said there was
Yeah,
probably.
they said it under oath
Yeah.
to a judge. And then there was no probable cause. What happened to it?
Never existed. Never existed.
They can just say whatever they want.
So there are a couple of possibilities. They lied, probably number one, because that's all they do.
Yep.
Number two, they had informants who turned out to be liars, but they don't acknowledge that. And then the question is, should they have relied on these informants? Because if they didn't, they should compensate me.
You know,
But they don't want to give me the affidavits. Cash, they don't want to give me the affidavits. We're on the same side.
Cash Patel. So Mayor Julie, I want to hear my theory real quick because I know we're coming to the end of the show. I know a lot of
You
people.
give me those affidavits, I'll blow that damn place up. Not just for me, but for everybody else you did it to.
And he does
And
not
if you
mean-
don't, and if you, I don't mean blow it up,
Talking about
please.
an explosion.
Sorry, not an
Somebody
explosion.
will take that
We'll
sound
get
bite.
rid of all the shits that did it. This didn't happen because there was one bad guy. It happened because there was one bad guy and a lot of Nazi prison guards. I'm sorry. I would have said no if you asked me to go and raid Rudy Giuliani's apartment. I would have said, drop dead, take your badge and shove it up your ass. Because I have integrity and I believe in the United States of America. And they were very nice, the little shits that came in, but they were a bunch of intimidated little shits. And you know how I proved it? Cash, you know how I improved that every single one of them was a little shit? At the end of it, I lined up everything they took. And I
Electronics.
left at the end.
Electronics.
I said to them, you're now through all my electronics. I've identified all of it. Half of it belonged to other people. None of it was incriminating. I don't really give a damn if they took it. I said, now you're going to come to the two incriminating pieces of evidence. Hunter Biden's laptop. Now, which one do you want? The hard drive that has all of the child pornography, or the hard drive in which I've exempted it, got it out, so it wouldn't embarrass people. They say, oh, we don't want to. No. They were peeing in their little childish pants.
And what did
They
the
didn't take either.
Yeah, and
and
what
by
did the
that, they
subpoena say?
violated.
Yeah,
they
they violated the
the
subpoena.
They violated the warrant.
Warrant, yeah.
Because the warrant didn't say all electronics except Hunter Biden's. It said all electronics. I got to keep 2 of the electronics. This is one illegality after another illegality after another illegality, because under Joe Biden, we were living in a dictatorship. We didn't have freedom of speech. We didn't have the ability to have a fair trial. We had judges on the bench, like in the DC district, who were maniacs, who could have easily substituted in Soviet Union or Nazi Germany for trials. And we're not cleaning that up. And here's the sadness of it. If we don't clean it up, it'll happen again. This has to be put so beyond the pale that nobody ever again will think of doing this. The people have to be either punished or embarrassed or exercised, or so that never again does this happen again, and jeopardize this great experiment of freedom, which makes America so beautiful and so wonderful. And they soiled more than any other group of Americans. This group, Biden, Obama, Hillary, that group have been the most evil group of Americans that we've ever had in terms of American liberty. Never had anything like that before.
They sold it.
And God willing, we'll never have them again. But if they get away with it, you don't think there'll be more evil people that come back and want to do the same things? That's why this is not about getting even. There's nobody I want to get even with.
It's about justice.
Actually, there's so many I'd want to get even with. There are too many. I just don't even think about it. I just want people brought to justice. I would like what happened to me. Here's the way I would feel better about what happened to me. If I felt confident it wouldn't happen to somebody else. I don't right now. I just saw worse happen to Charlie. Well,
Well, Mayor Giuliani, I do want to say one thing about Mike Lindell.
oh, please, our
This
great,
is
our great
his
friend.
network, Lindell TV, and thank you for supporting Lindell TV. You may or may not know, My Pillow, the organization, is employee, what's that
Owned.
called? Employee owned. It's no longer, and it hasn't been for many years, Mike Lindell himself. The employees own it. So all these frivolous attacks on him, you know, getting rid of his products and bed and bath and everything, it hurts those employees. American employees and American made products, please. And I'm telling you, I do buy, this is on my mother's soul, I buy My Pillow products because I just love them. And not what you think about the pillow. I actually really like the sheets and the towels, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. Please go to mypillow.com. Already think about Christmas. Get some Christmas shopping done. And he's always got specials, and they are quality products. And that's all I have
Could
to
I
say.
make a suggestion based on that, Doc?
Sure.
Because that's beautiful. So if you have a little extra money, you know, and you like doing good things for people, why don't you go buy a bunch of My Pillow stuff and give it to the poor?
Oh, that's wonderful.
Why don't you go? Why
That's
don't you go to the
wonderful.
local
Yep.
place where they have homeless people, or go to the place for needy children, or go to the prison, or go to, I'm sure, whatever town you're in, wherever you are, you got people that are in need.
Absolutely. That's
Or
a
go
great
to
suggestion.
the Salvation Army or the Catholic Charities everybody needs pillows.
Yep.
Get them pillows and blankets and maybe some for the poor kids, maybe some pretty things, they have pretty little stuff that the kids can play with. But why not put that money into the guy who's trying to save free speech for us and has done a big job doing it and has been tortured for it? Look, I know there are a lot of us to support and to help, but Charlie was one of the top ones, and so is Mike Lindell. So, you know, think about that. Think about when you got a little, if you are one that has a little extra money or you're charitable, you can make it work in a double way, right?
Just like Rudy.coffee.
Oh, Rudy.coffee.
The best coffee.
I got to tell you, we did. There's nothing. I mean, this is really ridiculous, but this is really good.
It's
I
very,
got to
very
get somebody
good.
to sell it other than me because you probably don't believe me. This morning, I made such a good cup of coffee. I got up very early. I usually don't make coffee that early. I usually wait. I get up
I had
early.
a voice message that you called me
I
and
left
said,
a voice
"My
message at 6
coffee's
o'clock.
so
The coffee this morning was perfect. It was perfect. Like you say in Brooklyn, perfect.
Perfect.
Somehow it worked out beautifully. I just opened a new bag of Bold, and I had an old little bag of Morning, and I mixed them together, and they worked out. Yeah, I opened. Ooh, I can smell it.
I know.
I opened the new bag of this one here, and I had some Morning, which is the milder one. I had some Morning in the grinder, and I put this on top of the Morning, and I went, and I made it, and I drank it early because I have a whole routine, which I'll explain sometime. But I usually don't have coffee that early. I wait until later on when I wake up again. But I decided to have it. Man, I couldn't stop drinking it. And I started texting people, including Maria, about how good it was.
I had a voice message, and I'm like,
I'm going
Mayor
to try to save some for later.
called
when
at
you come over.
7 a.m. But all right, thank you for having me on. I
Well,
love coming on your show.
You're very, very welcome. We want you to go over now. What's today?
No, not today. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 p.m.
So then we can cover up a few more of our
dear.
sins here,
Okay.
and get to all the things, that we missed. TikTok. We're on our way to a deal for TikTok, they say, and the TikTok deal all depends on the secret algorithm. China has been willing now to give up the secret algorithm. According to that, this will be safe for us to allow an American company to take over and control TikTok although ByteDance, which is the Chinese owner, which in essence is Red China, will have an interest in it. They'll have some kind of an interest in it. I do have a question about it, which wasn't resolved in what I read, and I read several of the articles on it and background on it. The real problem with TikTok, the real security problem with TikTok is everything they get can be taken by the Chinese government. Now, maybe I don't understand this new algorithm, secret algorithm, well enough. I'm assuming from what I read that if you have the secret algorithm and you can use it, you can operate it by itself. And you don't have to be responsible to China, and China can't get it. It doesn't say that. I've seen nothing that says that, and I'd feel much more comfortable if I did. So there's a question here. Forget the algorithm. That's great. We got it. Does it mean that there's no way that China can have access to anything on that TikTok platform? No way. You say yes, then we should go ahead with it. You say no, Mr. President, I love you, I disagree with you, throw them out. This is not a matter of negotiating for something else or seeking something else. China wants to destroy us. We can't let them do it through getting any more of our secrets. We let them take advantage of us long enough. So everybody else is happy about the TikTok solution. I read it very carefully. I don't see the answer. I don't see that having the secret algorithm means that China doesn't have access to everything in there based on Chinese law. I think that's correct. Please say it. We talked about our victory in New Jersey, and all of our victories, all of us who spoke up for Lizzie Kunzel. I'm glad that she's back, and I'm glad that some of these are working. Ted, are you keeping track? I mean, you've been very, very active in this and a hero, really. Are you keeping track of how we're doing on this?
Well, we have a small list, but it's not a comprehensive one. And I know we promised folks we'd get you one. So by tomorrow, we'll have at least something up to date between our accounts, Libs of TikTok, Scott Pressler, and thousands and thousands of others of various sizes, right? A lot of these accounts are just a few hundred followers, just concerned Americans, and a lot of progress. People have been removed from their positions, especially in schools and medical facilities. A number of students have been expelled from campus for displaying very disturbing behavior, Mayor, right? And maybe we'll play some of these. I don't want to play the videos, but these people are unhinged, right? It's not that they're even just coming up and protesting, Charlie, which would be sick enough, right? To do that during a candlelight vigil, just even to show up with a sign like Westboro Baptist Church used to do. Remember them? Mm-hmm. Westboro Baptist Church, but they'd show up and stand at a distance and protest. It was bad. But now what we're seeing is these agitators going up, destroying, screaming at the top of their lungs. I mean, you can almost see it in their eyes. These are very disturbed individuals. Any of you that have seen these videos the last few days, again, it's way beyond just making some ridiculous point about free speech by standing there with a sign that says, I didn't like Charlie. They're purposefully interfering with the vigils, taking physical action against, people there, running through them, throwing flowers. It's beyond the pale.
How about the guy who trampled on the flowers?
Yeah. And so we've seen a number of cases of students. Thankfully, the university is acting quickly, identifying them.
Well, how many have we gotten rid of? I guess is what I'm can we do some kind of a
we'll do a total
of how many we have gotten rid of so we can give people encouragement that and here I'm going to tell you why we're doing this. First of all, some people say, well, you're interfering with free speech. No, we're not. Free speech does not mean you get to be immune based on the implication of what you say. In other words, if I say something extremely damaging and extremely stupid, maybe I can't be prosecuted for it, but my employer can fire me for it. He can take seriously what I said. Otherwise, it's not free speech. It's immune speech. I can say anything I want, and nobody can do anything to me about it. There's certain things you can do, certain things you can't do. The government cannot go after you for your speech. That's what free speech is about. It has nothing to do with private action. The First Amendment of the Constitution says you have a right of free speech. That's as against the government of the United States, not against your employer, not against your best friend can decide he doesn't want to be friends with you anymore because of what you said, right? If you said to some friend of yours that his kid was a miserable creep and he was absolutely wrong and it was a hateful thing to say, you don't have to be friends with him anymore because of free speech. This is ridiculous. So if they say something like, isn't it wonderful that Charlie Kirk died? You don't have to employ him any longer as a teacher because they're a sick puppy or a sick bum. I'm sorry, I don't want you teaching my kid if you think it's wonderful that Charlie Kirk was assassinated in front of thousands of people for no other reason but because what he was saying. So that's not free speech. In fact, you're exercising free speech and getting rid of them. So join us. Let us know. We can't handle them all. We're not the biggest organization. We do work with others, but we're working hard to get every one of these held accountable because I also see it as another way of cleaning out the schools. We got to get rid of the Marxist groomers in the schools online. There's a very, very good piece done by a columnist that I cite quite often because I think her work is remarkable. She's all over the place and in the right places, Ricky Schlott. And today she writes about how much time that was spent by this guy and his lover online. And she does it by interpreting the inscriptions on the bullet casings that shows someone that's deeply embedded in the lower depths. I think the governor called it the dark web, and that if anything else, he's a product of that. In fact, one of his classmates that she interviewed said the best him is he's like a Reddit kid. Reddit is one of the offending websites, right?
Right.
Now. And her concern is that on Reddit, on Discord, and on TikTok, there are sitting in the weeds, ready to go, groomers, all kinds of groomers. They're not there just for politics. They're there for human trafficking. They're there to get your 12-year-old kid to decide that she wants to come to New York. Let's meet at the Port Authority, and now the kid has a lifetime of being a prostitute. Or they're there for switching them philosophically if they think that's the way they can move them, or getting them to be activists for them so they can blow something up or bomb something, or getting them to be involved in low level drug dealing. Their groomers are all over the internet, and unless you have a very, very responsible social media network, they just let them go and go and go because they don't give a damn. Most of them are as left-wing as these idiots anyway. And there's no doubt, Ricky says, we've long heard about the horror of children being groomed by online predators, but the internet can also turn children into dangers themselves. And she does that based on things like OWO, notice bulge, OWO, what's this? That's an emoticon suggesting a wide-eyed animal face. It's common in online role play and forums dedicated to the furry subculture. I don't know, if my kid was in the furry subculture, I'd want to know about it. So this guy was in the furry subculture, and his father was having all kinds of conversations with him. Debates, I guess, as the guy was going, as Tyler was going further and further and further left and further left and further left. Robinson had an account on furryaffinity.net, which is a website for swapping sexualized images and chatting about the kink. Now, I don't know what the kink is. Ricky loses me there. I take it it's not good.
Kinky behavior, I guess.
She then points to "Hey, fascist, catch" and "Oh, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Ciao, Ciao." Apparent references to the video game Helldivers. I take it one step further there, Ricky, that Bella Ciao was recently and is very, very prominently used by Antifa. They've adopted it many, many years ago because they are anti-fascist. This was an anti-fascist slogan of the Italian partisans, and it's been a mainstay of Antifa for that long, which would create certainly a major question as to whether Antifa has some involvement in this grooming. And Lance Twiggs, who is the partner who we have trouble with the pronoun on, is an aspiring pro-gamer who is also highly active on subreddits filled with all kinds of, I don't know how to describe it. Well, there's a lot to be learned from this that hopefully we will take into consideration as we move on. I mean, the president seems to be very happy having gone to London with his good friend King Charles. I didn't know they were good friends, but they seem to look at the world somewhat differently, he and King Charles. And certainly Keir Starmer and he seem to look at the world differently, but we do have to have a good relationship with them. And I'm happy that the president likes it so much in England. Maybe he could do something for them. They're falling apart, and pretty soon they're going to be a Muslim country. Or maybe a Catholic country again, because there apparently are more Catholics than Anglicans, if not in all of England, in large parts of England. Everybody's leaving the Anglican church and staying out, or they're becoming Catholics. Why? Because the Catholics stand for something. The Anglicans stand for who gods. Now, here is a very, very challenging article that I meant to bring up with Dr. Maria, but she left. And that is Matthew Hennessy writes the following. And when I started reading it, I just couldn't stop because it's so beautiful. Anyone who's ever held a peacefully sleeping baby has had the thought, what will become of him? The miracle of new life inspires endless wonder. We revel in the possibilities. Where will fate take this beautiful, innocent child? What does his future hold? Most of us think that with the right combination of care and education, and perhaps a little luck, the upside for any child is essentially unlimited. He could grow to be president. He could end up running a big corporation or write the great American novel. He could win the Super Bowl, become a movie star, or find the cure for cancer. Somebody's life is going to lead him to each of those things. Why not my baby? Why not the beautiful, innocent child sleeping peacefully in my arms? Oh, gosh, I've had that feeling about both my children and other people's children. Haven't you? The reality most of us banish from our minds is that the downside is essentially unlimited too. Suffering is unavoidable. So are disappointments and disaster, injury and illness. In fact, a future full of struggle and pain is far more likely than one of cinema stardom or Super Bowl rings. Odds are the tiny, defenseless baby in your arms will at some point hurt people and be hurt in return. He'll be devastated by heartbreak and lash out in anger. He'll take you for granted and put your love to the test. How we respond to life's many pressures reveals who we are. It isn't always pretty. Every reckless driver was once a newborn child. Every degenerate gambler is a mother's son. Now consider the worst. The baby in your arms may one day call and say, I made a terrible mistake. I'm in huge trouble. I don't know what to do. I need your help. What are you going to do then? If I had a lifetime to think about it, I couldn't come up with a more tragic circumstance than the murder last week of Charlie Kirk. A young and vibrant man died in the cruelest way possible, cut down in his prime for his views on politics. He had so much more to give to his family and country. It's a horror that the nation will live with and struggle to make sense of for many years to come. At heart, however, there is a human tragedy more than a societal one. The Kirk family deserves sympathy and justice. They've lost a husband, father, and son. They will never be the same. Charlie Kirk's parents held him in their arms and dreamed of a future for their baby boy. They may not have foreseen what he would end up making of himself, the self-made success, the fame, the political influence. They surely never imagined that his life would end up being so tragically short, or that it would end up in such violence. Pray for them. But in your charity, and I know this is hard to do, spare a prayer for the Robinson family as well. Imagine handing your own son over to the police to be charged, potentially with capital murder. Think about how difficult that must have been, what emotional courage that must have taken. If charged and found guilty, Tyler Robinson could be sentenced to death. It's a dreadful dilemma to contemplate for any parent. I'm a father of 5. My wife and I have tried to instill in our kids a sense of duty, of what's right and wrong. Even when nobody's looking, we tell them they should do the right thing, even if there's nothing obvious to be gained from it. And if you don't know what the right thing is, well, we tell them, look for the answer in your heart of hearts. You'll always find it there. Whether I could take my own advice, it isn't obvious. If one of my children came to me and confessed that he'd committed a heinous crime, I'm not sure I could easily summon the strength to turn him in. Could you? Could I? In the book of Genesis, Abraham doesn't hesitate to satisfy God's command that he sacrifice his only son, Isaac, as a demonstration of his faith and obedience. Tyler Robinson's parents seem to have acted with similar fidelity and dispatch. They didn't hide their son or help him get away. According to reports, they sat him down and convinced him he had no choice but to surrender. They did the right thing. Like the Kirk family, the Robinson family has been changed forever. So pray for them. Even if it seems weird, even if you aren't sure they deserve it. That's why it's called charity. I think that's beautiful. It's written by Matthew Hennessy. And I think with that, we'll offer a prayer to God that we all have the wisdom to embrace that. Isn't it Jesus on the cross saying they know not what they do? Forgive them, for they know not what they do. There's a lot more to be found out here. It's enormously important we find it out. I think it's enormously important that we change direction based on this. And if we don't, I don't think we'll ever change direction. Our morality has to change direction, most importantly, and then everything else will follow. And there's one very, 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 very important part of this that may seem simple, but it's the most difficult. This isn't going to happen unless we bring God back into America, unless we recognize that this country was given to us by God, that those rights, not just poetically, but in reality were given to us by God. that our obligations are to a higher being and to a higher ethic. So let's, of course, pray, as we always do, for the people who are in harm's way in particular, which are specifically, the people of Ukraine and the people of Iran and the people of Israel. Oh, my goodness, all over Africa, right? But we're at a turning point now. And I ask God in a special prayer that you give us the wisdom to extract from this what we should, to take from this terrible loss of this wonderful young man something really, really just totally edifying and completely symbolic of where we have to go, so that we never go back to where we were. And we become bigger and better and stronger as a result of it. The possibilities of that happening are there, and the possibilities of the opposite happening are there. We see them both. We see it in the activities of the hateful people that are dancing on Charlie Kirk's grave. And we see it in the reaction of the thousands of people that now want to join Turning Point, and the thousands and thousands of people who want to do the same kind of work that he did, and the thousands and thousands of people who are rethinking a lot of their political thinking and moral thinking. And we see it in all the people that went to church this Sunday. It's the second part that we have to work on. But most importantly, we have to ask God to come back. And then when he comes back, we have to fight for him. We can't just, look aside when some of our neighbors try to drive God out. We got to fight as hard as they're trying to drive him out. We have to fight to keep him in. Maybe we didn't fight hard enough to keep prayer in the schools, and we didn't fight hard enough to keep the Christmas scene in the town square. And maybe we didn't fight hard enough to let the Jewish people put the Star of David in the town square. Maybe we just wanted to kind of belong and look like, we're, up-to-date liberals like you are. There's nothing up-to-date about rejecting God. There's something very antiquated about that. Before there was the belief and the appearance in our civilization of the monotheistic God, we had just savagery. We have that now, don't we? Some of it. And some might very much believe that the devil is at work in our society. I elect to see it as communism at work in our society. I don't think it's so far to say that that's the devil. But let's bring God back. And let's be available for the battles that are going to be necessary to do that. And let's remember with Charlie that we're always available for reasonable conversation to explain our point. I'm not going to give it up. We're going to explain it. And we're going to love them. Even the most offensive of them. Even the ones who are dancing on Charlie's grave, we have to love them. And we have to feel sorry for them. And we have to pray that in the fullness of life, they come to realize what they did wrong and repent. Well, we'll be back tomorrow night at 7 on Lindell, at 8 here on X, and we'll be available to you all day, depending on what's happening. One never knows nowadays, huh? So, really, from the bottom of my heart, let's just say it because we need it. It's like this is a prayer, not just a statement, not just a closing statement. This is a prayer. Every night it's a prayer, but now it's a real prayer. And we need it. We need it badly, badly, badly. God bless America.
Tragedy. Charlie Kirk was murdered while engaging in one of our most sacred and cherished American rights, the bedrock of our democratic republic, the free exchange of ideas in a search for truth, understanding, and a more perfect union. It is also an offense against the state and to the peace and enjoyment of the people of Utah and of all those who visit here. But Charlie Kirk's murder also strikes a more personal and intimate chord. Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a father to two beautiful young children. He was a son, he was a brother, and a friend. Like all murders, the senseless and needless taking of Charlie Kirk's life has shattered the lives of those he loved and those who loved him. To Charlie's wife, Erica, his two young children, his parents, his family, and his friends, I express my sincere condolences and offer my heartfelt prayers on your behalf. I also want to express my concern for everyone who was at Charlie's Turning Point USA event at the Utah Valley University, and all who have been impacted by this tragedy. As county attorney, I am charged with bringing justice to those who offend our laws. I am charged with bringing justice for those who are harmed. I am charged with bringing justice for Charlie Kirk. I am committed to these aims. I take this responsibility seriously. Today, after reviewing the evidence that law enforcement has collected thus far, I am filing a criminal information charging Tyler James Robinson, age 22, with the following crimes. Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital offense, for intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony. The state is further alleging aggravating factors on counts 1 and 2 because the defendant is believed to have targeted Charlie Kirk based on Charlie Kirk's political expression and did so knowing that children were present and would witness the homicide. The state is also charging defendant with count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for moving and concealing the rifle used in the shooting. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for disposing the clothing he wore during the shooting. Count 5, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to delete his incriminating texts. Count 6, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned him. And count 7, commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor, for committing homicide knowing that children were present and may have seen or heard the murder and did so based on Charlie Kirk's political expression. Also, following the press conference, I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime. Because we are seeking the death penalty, the defendant will continue to be held without bail in the Utah County Jail. Turning to the 10-page information, these are the allegations. On September 10th, 2025, at approximately 12:23 p.m., Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Police found the suspected murder weapon, a bolt-action .30-06 rifle, nearby. Over the next approximately 33 hours, police conducted a manhunt for the shooter until the evening of September 11th, 2025, when Tyler James Robinson surrendered to police at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the rifle, and told his roommate to delete incriminating text messages and not talk to police. Children were present at the time of the shooting. The shooting. Turning Point USA, a nonprofit organization founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk, organized a public outdoor event to be held at noon on September 10th, 2025 at UVU. The event was the first in a series of similar events to be held at college campuses nationwide. Mr. Kirk is a well-known conservative activist famous for these type of events where he discusses various political issues and debates with audience members. His events and comments have garnered a significant number of supporters and drawn the ire of many who disagree with his political views. The event at UVU was announced far in advance and garnered significant publicity and interest. Consequently, several hundred people attended. Mr. Kirk was interacting with the crowd before the event officially got underway. Then, at approximately noon, Mr. Kirk seated himself under a portable canopy behind a table and microphone. He began speaking to the crowd and fielding questions from attendees, a format Mr. Kirk commonly used at his events. Mr. Kirk allowed his questioners to approach a microphone positioned directly in front of him. Mr. Kirk's team members were very close to him on his right and left, as well as some behind his canopy and others at various close locations near him. The large crowd surrounded Mr. Kirk on three sides. Temporary metal fencing separated attendees from Mr. Kirk by only a matter of feet. Directly above and behind Mr. Kirk was the UVU Hall of Flags, an indoor walkway spanning several hundred feet with floor-to-ceiling glass windows which overlooked the plaza where Mr. Kirk was seated. People were in the walkway at the time of the shooting. Approximately 15 minutes into the event, Mr. Kirk was answering a question about mass shootings by transgender individuals when a gunshot rang out. The bullet struck Mr. Kirk in the neck. He slumped to the ground almost immediately. The bullet's trajectory passed closely to several other individuals beside Mr. Kirk, including the questioner who was standing directly in front of Mr. Kirk. Children were visible near Mr. Kirk's stage when he was shot. Mr. Kirk was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was declared deceased. The medical examiner's report is still pending. So UVU surveillance. So at the moment of the shot, a UVU police officer was watching the crowd from an elevated vantage point. As soon as he heard the shot, he began to scan the area for threats. Believing the shot came from a rifle because of its sound, he looked for potential sniper positions. He noted a roof area approximately 160 yards away from Mr. Kirk as a potential shooting position and rushed there to look for evidence. The suspected shooting position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway. To access the suspected location, a person must climb over a railing and then drop to the roof only slightly below. The UV officer climbed over the railing and down onto the roof. He then walked to the suspected shooting position and confirmed a clear shooting corridor between the position and Mr. Kirk's seat. He also noticed markings in the gravel rooftop, consistent with a sniper having lain on the roof, impressions in the gravel potentially left by the elbows, knees, and feet of a person in a prone shooting position. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera covering the roof and discovered that it recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing cross the railing from the public walkway and drop onto the roof at approximately 12:15 p.m. Although the individual moved out of the camera's view for a short time, the camera again captured the individual running across the roof and then low crawling to the area the UVU officer recognized as where the suspected sniper had dropped into a prone shooting position. After a short time, which matches the known time of the shot, the individual arose and ran across the roof to the northeast. This discovery led to an intensive review of UVU surveillance recordings to attempt to track and identify the suspect. Surveillance revealed the following. At approximately 11:51 a.m., the suspect entered campus from the north. He is seen wearing a black shirt with an American flag in the center, a dark baseball cap, and large sunglasses. Throughout the surveillance, the suspect keeps his head down and rarely raises his head enough to get a clear image of his face. As he proceeds across the campus, he is seen walking with an unusual gait. The suspect walks with very little bending in his right leg, consistent with a rifle being hidden in his pants. This unusual gait continues until the suspect is seen crossing the railway off the open walkway and onto the roof, where he leaves the camera's view. A camera later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof to the suspected shooting position. Immediately after the shot was fired, a camera captures the suspect running across the roof carrying an item whose shape is consistent with a rifle. The suspect is then seen climbing down from the roof. He appears to drop the item he was carrying as he hits the ground in a controlled fall. He then picks up the item and runs toward the northeast end of campus. Expanded crime scene investigation. Law enforcement officers followed the suspect's escape path to the northeast end of campus, where they believe the suspect left campus and entered a wooded area. In that wooded area, investigators found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel. The rifle contained one spent round and 3 unspent rounds. This is consistent with the facts officers observed at the time of and immediately after the shootings. No shell casings were found on the roof, suggesting a bolt action rather than an auto-loading weapon, and only a single round was fired. Each round in the rifle contained an etched inscription as follows. The fired cartridge was etched, "No Tice's bulge, OWO, what's this?" The second cartridge that was again not spent, the last 3 were not spent, were not fired. The second, "Hey fascist, catch," with arrow symbols. The third cartridge, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." The fourth cartridge, "If you read this, you are gay," LMAO. The rifle, ammunition rounds, and towel were sent for forensic processing. DNA consistent with defendant was found on the trigger, other parts of the rifle, the fired cartridge casing, 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges, and the towel. Law enforcement was unable to immediately locate the shooter, so they published photos of the shooter from the UVU surveillance cameras and asked for the public's help to identify him. Meanwhile, law enforcement continued to try to identify the shooter through other means. The Washington County investigation. On the evening of September 11th, 2025, as law enforcement continued their investigation, Tyler James Robinson went to the Washington County Sheriff's Office with his parents and a family friend to turn himself in. Robinson's mother stated that the following to police. On September 11th, 2025, the day after the shooting, Robinson's mother saw the photo of the shooter in the news and thought the shooter looked like her son. Robinson's mother called her son and asked him where he was. He said he was at home sick and that he had also been at home homesick on September 10th. Robinson's mother expressed concern to her husband that the suspect shooter looked like Robinson. Robinson's father agreed. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle that police suspected the shooter used matched a rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied that he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home. As they discussed the situation, Robinson implied that he was the shooter and stated that he couldn't go to jail and just wanted to end it. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained there is too much evil and the guy, referring to Charlie Kirk, spreads too much hate. They talked about Robinson turning himself in and convinced Robinson to speak with a family friend who is a retired deputy sheriff. At Robinson's father's request, the family friend met with Robinson and his parents and convinced Robinson to turn himself in. The family friend spoke to police and reported telling Robinson that it would be best if he brought all evidence with him to the sheriff's office to avoid police having to search his parents' home. The friend also asked Robinson if he had any clothes that were related to what he did. Robinson replied that he had disposed of the clothes in different areas. The roommate. Police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting, and he did provide those messages to police. On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing. Look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange, then took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right?" Robinson, "I am still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you." Roommate, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" Robinson, I am. I'm sorry." Roommate, "I thought they caught the person." Robinson, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." Roommate, "Why?" Robinson, "Why did I do it?" Roommate, "Yeah." Robinson, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it." Roommate, "How long have you been planning this?" Robinson, "A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it." Robinson again, "I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDEK if it's had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The F in messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notice bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke all right. I'm going to have to leave it. That really effing sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine, IDK. I think that was a $2K dollar scope. Wink, wink. Robinson again, delete this exchange. Again, Robinson, "My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me, RN, not answering." Robinson, "Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA." Robinson, "I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff." Again, "You are all I worry about, love." That came from Robinson. Roommate, "I'm much more worried about you." Robinson, "Don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent." The search for Robinson's residence. Police executed a search warrant on Robinson's residence. During that search, police discovered a shell casing with etchings like the etchings found on the shells in the rifle near UVU. Police also found several target boards with bullet holes in Robinson's home. Now, as I stated in the beginning, when I read those allegations, these are allegations. And like the evidence set forth in this statement, those allegations, what you've heard from the media even from state and federal officials, has not been tested in the crucible of a jury trial. I understand the public's desire to know the facts. My own family members have pressed me for information. Why are we reluctant to share the details of the investigation itself and comment on the case? Because I want to ensure a fair and impartial trial. I became a prosecutor because of my love for the ideals of this great country and the principles embedded in our Constitution. The free exchange of ideas and opinions is critical to this great American experiment, but so too are the protections afforded to the accused found in the Fifth and Sixth Amendments: the right against self-incrimination, the right to a speedy and public trial, the right to the effective assistance of counsel, the right to confront one's accusers, and the right to compel the attendance of witnesses. And perhaps most importantly, under our Constitution, the accused is presumed innocent until we, the state, prove to an impartial jury of defendant's peers his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. That jury cannot rely on our allegations, on what they hear in the news, or on what they hear from a public official. The jury is the sole trier of fact, and they will ultimately determine those facts based on evidence a trial judge has determined is admissible. Again, as prosecutors, we bear the burden to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. But make no mistake, we welcome this burden. I'd like to now introduce my trial team who will be charged with prosecuting the case. This is a veteran and expert team of some of the state's best trial attorneys. Chad Grunander, who is one of my two chief deputies, Ryan McBride and David Sturgill on the far right there. And those two were very much involved in preparing search warrants, did a phenomenal job, worked day and night to see that accomplished well after he was, Robinson was taken into custody. Also, Lauren Hunt, she is one of our special victims prosecutors, and Chris Ballard, my second chief deputy, who will be handling motions. I'm going to explain just the procedural steps. We're not a grand jury, we don't have a grand jury system like the federal courts do. It's a preliminary hearing system. So the arrest and filing of the criminal information are merely the first steps in the criminal justice process. Today at 3 p.m., the defendant will appear before a judge in the Utah 4th District Court for his first appearance to be informed of these charges and to ensure that he has an attorney to represent him. The hearing will be brief. The judge will conduct that first appearance virtually via WebEx. This is not unusual. In the 4th District, all felony first appearances for defendants who are in custody are held virtually. A link to that hearing is available for media on the Utah State Court's X account at Utah State Courts. Now, following defendant's first appearance, he will be entitled to a preliminary hearing. At that hearing, the state will be required to show probable cause that defendant committed the crimes. The purpose of the preliminary hearing is not to determine guilt, but simply to assure the court that the prosecution has enough evidence to proceed to trial. If a judge finds probable cause and binds the case over for trial, an arraignment hearing will be held. At that hearing, a judge will again inform defendant of the charges against him and require him to enter a plea to each charge. The next step following the arraignment is an opportunity for the parties to file any relevant motions and then ultimately the trial itself. This case has generated a tremendous amount of interest across our nation and even the world. The public's desire for information is understandable, but it bears reiterating that this case will be tried in a court of law consistent with our Constitution, not the court of public opinion. Thus, we will only discuss the case with the press occasionally. It will not be a day-to-day or even week-to-week occurrence, but we will only do so in a manner as not to jeopardize the fair trial process. Before I conclude, I want to express my appreciation for the tireless work of our local, state, and federal law enforcement officers. They have an extremely difficult, dangerous, and often thankless job. I'm proud to acknowledge the exceptional work they do every day, and particularly their work on this case. It was truly a marvel to witness. Their skilled work and dedication have brought us to this point. I'm also grateful for the leadership demonstrated by Bo Mason, the Commissioner of the Utah Department of Public Safety, FBI Special Agent in Charge Rob Bowles, Utah County Sheriff Mike Smith, our local police chiefs, and Felice John Vitti, the acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Utah. I'm also grateful for the support of our Governor, Spencer Cox, and our Attorney General, Derek Brown, who is standing behind me today and has offered his support and resources as we proceed to trial. Finally, I want to thank our Utah County Commissioners, Amelia Powers Gardner, Brandon Gordon, and Skylar Beltran. They too have pledged to assist with the resources needed to successfully prosecute this case. I will now take a few questions.
For questions, ladies and gentlemen, just really fast, if you could identify yourself and what organization. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. They are still looking into it. It's an undergoing investigation.
So is that a possibility?
They haven't ruled that out.
As I'm there with CNN, the text message that you exchanged with your roommate, can you kind of give us a sense of, did that happen over several hours? Did it happen before?
I don't have that information.
Emily Anderson, Stars and Solid Tribune. I know, acknowledging that you made this decision to pursue the death penalty independently, did you hear it all from the Trump administration or Governor Cox's administration as you were working on these charges?
I talked to officials from both administrations, but I was not pressured to make a decision. I understood their feelings on it because it was in the news, but we didn't really discuss that.
Mr. Gray, Gary Tenney with Fox News. Do you have any indication that transgender issues played a role in the motivations for this shooter?
I'm going to stick to what I just stated in my public, in our information. I think that is pretty much set forth there.
Mr. Gray, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News. Just asking, are you planning to file additional charges against anyone else in connection with this?
Again, we don't have any information at this point of additional suspects, but I know that our law enforcement agencies are continuing to follow leads.
Mr. Gray, the FBI director today said that you are, quote, or that other people, a number of people are being investigated and interrogated. So it seems that there are people who might be up for prosecution.
Yeah, I'm not. I can't comment on that. I'm not aware of all their investigation. I just know that these agencies are continuing to investigate this case and follow all leads.
Jenna Sophia with BBC News.
Would like to know, how does this possibly interface with any federal charges?
That's up to the feds. They have different charges, and they're reviewing the evidence, and after they review the evidence and the law, they could file charges, but I'm not privy to exactly what they're looking at.
Jenna Sophia with the BBC. You spoke a lot about text messages with the roommate. The governor previously said the roommate is cooperating, but could we see charges against the roommate?
Again, I'm not prepared to answer that question. It's part of our code, and so we charge that.
For those that aren't of a legal mind, is this a confession to text messages? Is that legally a confession? And is he cooperating since he's been taken in custody?
Ultimately, a judge will determine that at trial.
And cooperation, has he spoken at all? Has he been cooperating?
Again, I'm not going to comment on that. Okay.
What would you tell us about the suspect's time online that some say radicalized him?
I am not aware of that information. It's, again, still under investigation.
And has he expressed any remorse so far about this?
I am not going to comment on that.
Is he continuing to not cooperate?
I am not going to comment on that.
Mr. President, FBI director has been way out in front in terms of presenting evidence to the public. Your team has been very circumspect, very measured in what they let out. Does that hamper your investigation and the build-up to this?
Well, as attorneys, we typically like to control that information to preserve an impartial jury and a fair trial. Excuse me? I don't have that information.
Can you tell us more about what the family may have said in interviews?
What the family said is what I provided.
Do you anticipate that the defense will try to get this trial moved out of Utah County, and how will you respond to that?
That from where?
From Utah County.
That the defense will be from Utah County?
Well, that they will try to get the trial moved.
I couldn't predict what they're going to do.
You say for me of this, does the timing of the shot and the question that was asked about mass shootings, transgenders, is that more than coincidence?
That will be for a jury to decide.
Mr. Gray, are you confident that the roommate had no part of this attack whatsoever?
Again, I'm not going to comment on the evidence.
But the evidence so far does show any involvement.
Again, I'm not going to comment on other than the facts that or the evidence that we've gathered so far. I don't believe so. This is part of a public document that we have to file as we file a criminal information. We have to file a probable cause statement. That's a public document, and so we're comfortable with that.
Are his parents and the roommate still cooperating?
I'm not going to comment on that either.
The FBI has said that this suspect had a hatred of Kirk. What else can you share about that?
I can't share any more than what I've already said.
This was an incredibly precise shot. Do you have any evidence that he went places to practice or have tracked his movements before the shooting that's giving you insight into how he prepared?
The evidence that I'm willing to share is what I just read in our statement, and it's in the
Ladies and gentlemen,
information.
I'm afraid we're going to have to cut it off there.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you consult Eric and Kirk about seeking the death penalty?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. It was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given